Hey guys, my name is Brandon Tyler Moore, and you're watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am so happy to be joined by Brandon Tyler Moore. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to it. Thank you for doing this, and can't wait.
Of course, I'm so excited to chat with you about Boots on Netflix. I'm such a big fan of the show, so can't wait to get into the character that you play and the making of the first season. But to start off, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I think it started from a very young age. I was the kid with the video camera in the basement with my sister and our friends making videos. So I like that's been something since I was really really young. And like hopefully one day we get on like Jimmy Fallon or something like that or Jimmy I don't know all those right. And then they put them on and they're like, oh, wow, I accidentally have these videos that my team sent you. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can see those. So, but no, so from a young age, and I think I watched Jim Carrey and something, and I think just since I was a kid, making people laugh and like telling stories and like just kind of escaping the day and just being silly and then going back to real life for a little bit was always something that was fun for me, and I loved making my sister giggle. So I think that was kind of where it all started, was drama in the basement with us.
Do you still have vivid memories like making those home videos?
Oh, 100%. One time I didn't have $1 million, obviously, when I was that age, but I had $1 and we broke it up and I said, who wants to be a dollaraire? And we did this whole thing where like you win 5 cents for this question, 10 cents for this question. And I went through and it was very silly and I was not very smart either. So I had the questions were not challenging, so they took all my money, but it's fine. It was only $1. But yeah, very vivid.
You made the sacrifice for the fun of
That's it
it
for the
and for
art.
the
For the
game.
art, for the art, for the art. Yeah, yeah. It was good.
Exactly. And I know that you also did some school musicals as well when you were younger.
I did. I did. So I played football and I would go and do musicals when I could. And I was in Godspell my senior year. And I'm not gonna lie though, I think like oftentimes it's like, oh, I was the weird kid or whatever that liked football and musicals and all that stuff. And no, like I honestly had such a great high school that there was like maybe seven other football players also on stage with me. So it's just like I was really just around people that cultivated the arts pretty much my entire life. And my parents were all about it too. They'd take me to practice. They'd take me to, the YMCA to do little things. And, like my whole life, I've never had somebody be like, oh, no, don't do that. Or, oh, that's weird or whatever. It really was just like, yo, that's what you like to do. Let's do it. So I've done it since I was a kid. And I did, plays at church and, musicals and drama and all that stuff.
Is this like living, breathing high school musical?
I
Did you
know.
watch those movies growing
I
up?
did. I did. I did. I say because I have a sister, but whatever. Maybe it's because I enjoyed it. I don't know. But yeah, for sure.
What's really cool is you've also done some painting before. Do you still practice this art form?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. Honestly, like painting at this point in my life, like I've sold paintings in the past. But at this point, it's really just like when my friends are like, hey, and I'm like, what's up? And they're like, ah, I have this wall. And I'm like, okay. So I do practice it still, but it's more so just either to like disconnect, relax, and just like I have something on my mind, or if it's a friend that has a bare wall. So
I mean, how did you get into painting in the first place? Because I've seen some of your work on Instagram before, and I mean, it's not just like a simple line drawing. Like, I don't know, you're using watercolors, like there's some detail behind that.
no, I appreciate it. So when I was younger, my sister drew a shark. Okay. And I love that shark. So I took my pen and I drew all over her shark. Like I tried to learn how to draw a shark by covering her shark. And she hates me for it. Not really, but she was like, you ruined my art. She was like, I was so upset with you. And now look, You kept drawing, I stopped. You can draw, I can't. And so it's just funny. Like that's where it started. And I just started drawing and then eventually got into painting and like slowly but surely got into that world. And I also had a great art teacher in high school. Shout out Mr. Hildebrand. Dude was a boss. I love him so much. Still keep up with him to this day. So it's great. Yeah.
It's cool to have people like that that I guess inspire you to, keep going in a new medium. And it's nice to know you still do it when you have the time and when it's for like personal reasons for friends and family. And you mentioned playing sports. You had years of experience playing football. Tell me about the pivot and transition from athletics and your dreams of playing in the NFL to now pursuing acting full time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I played football at the University of Alabama for 5 years. We won two national championships, three SEC championships while I was there. Ended up working out with the Bucks, Patriots, Steelers. Just just workouts though. I never got brought to the team or onto the practice squad or anything like that. And I like went. I don't know. I kept going. I started doing internships with the football team, just like in the weight room, so I could still be around the guys, still work out and stuff like that. But I just felt this thing in me that was like it's time to hang up the cleats and go chase that other dream because that dream to be an actor has always been in my heart, and I think football at that point had done everything that it was meant to do for me, and in my life. And God was just like, hey, like go, here's the next step in your life. And so much of football has truly translated into acting. What doing the things we don't want to do, so we get to do the things we want to do, right? Like we have a ton of auditions that you spend a ton of time on and you don't book, but it's like you're meeting that casting director, they get to see your work, like, who knows what's gonna come from it. And then coming to set early, I know that, you know, for Cody specifically, like we did like a transformation, we did like a physical transformation throughout. Well, sometimes our call times are like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. Me and Dom, who plays Nash, and Blake Burt, would like meet with each other at like 3 a.m. and be on the treadmill. So like the fact that we could get up and do that together and have that discipline and that brotherhood and have like people behind us and beside us that are like, hey, no, we got this and we got to be there. So like I knew if I didn't show up on that treadmill, Dom or Blake was going to be there and they're going to be like, dude, where were you? I got up at 3 for you, and you weren't there. So we had so much of that, like, just accountability and brotherhood in this show that was so, so special. So I think there's so much in football that's translated over, like even into the acting side of things too. So it's been great. Yeah, it's really helped.
You mentioned winning two national championships, so I'm sure you have a lot of fond memories there. And you said in an older social media post that your drive and belief that you could play in the NFL really shaped you into the person you are today. So I think to have that passion and that drive for personal development, like it's so transferable to many things in life. So I'm glad that you can look back at that time fondly. Now, not including Boots, what project has been the most pivotal in your career so far, and how did it leave an impact on you?
Okay. This is actually a great transition question because it was a football movie. And it's called The Senior. It just came out just a couple months ago because it got like kind of put on the shelf just to wait for the right time for it to come out. And it was with Michael Chiklis. He's become my mentor because of this project. Because we were about a week or two in to me just getting blasted for like I was just getting killed, like just like I mean, so many like he has a lot of big hits in this project, and I'm sore, hurting, and I'm like, you know what? I know I don't know Michael Chiklis well, but I know him as a great actor. I was like, I feel like I deserve one question. I think I can do one question, right? So I went up to him, I was like, hey, Chicky, like, can I ask you a question? And he was like, yeah, buddy, shoot. I said, okay. So you have a wife and kids. I was like, one day I want that. I was like, how do you protect your wife's heart and your co-star's heart, but also make a great project where it feels like you guys are married or are in a relationship and like you protect your kids and your wife and not hurt anybody and not hurt yourself along the way. And he goes, we're gonna get a beer. Like it was like, like he was like, dang, all right, real question here, And so he ended up, we went and had breakfast together. I don't drink. So he was like, let's go get breakfast. All right. So, and we went and had breakfast and he sat with me for like 3 hours. And he said, like, buddy, I don't do this. He's like, but you asked me a character question. Most time the questions I get are like, how do I get a manager, or how do I get an agent, or how do I make it in this business? He was like, you weren't worried about that. He was like, you just wanted to know how to not hurt somebody's heart. He was like, so I'm gonna take you under my wing, and you have my number, and I'm gonna be with you along your entire career. And he has kept true to that word. Like I talk to him about every decision. I talk to him about every time that I book something, and I think that truly, there's been a bunch of things like Law and Order, is a big reason I booked this role. But that relationship with Chicky has become such a special thing for me. And just someone that I can really call on that has been there and done it. Like he's an Emmy-winning actor. He's really done the thing that we're all striving to. And I used to draw him when I was a kid. When he was the thing, I used to draw him. And now like I get to text him. So I'm very thankful. So he's an amazing man.
That's incredible to have created that connection out of your question. And I love that it was so like profound that it wasn't just like you mentioned, oh, how do you get a manager? Like, how is it
Yeah.
working with X actor? And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
actually
Yes.
like took that to heart and spent the time with you. And I'm glad that you can still go to him for advice and for guidance, especially in an industry as turbulent as this one. We will get into your new project now, Boots, and I will note for all those watching that we are discussing spoilers, so please make sure you have finished season one before continuing this interview. What can you share about your audition process and what drew you to the project and the character of Cody Bowman?
Yeah. Sorry about that. So funny story. I actually didn't audition for Cody first. I auditioned for Hicks first. And loved Hicks. Hicks is wild. Angus, though, there's no other Hicks in the world. All right. Angus is the guy. Like, he's such an amazing actor. He was perfect for the role. And I'm so thankful he booked it over me because he's great. I approached that character way different than he did, and he is way better than me at that character. So I'm very thankful. But then I was in the script, right? So I read for Hicks, and then I was reading through the script, and I saw John. And so in my own personal life, when I went to Alabama, I lost over 100 pounds during my process of being at Alabama. And I told my agent, I was like, can you go tell like the team that like I've been John. Like I went through this weight. I have been the big kid. I've been the overweight kid. I've been made fun of entire life growing up, for being fat and like all these things. I was like, I know I'm not that size right now. I was like, but depending on shooting, like I could gain weight because I was like, I really like this character speaks to me. And they're like, sure, you can read for John. Like I don't know. It felt like it was more like, I mean, this kid's probably not gonna be John, but let him read. I was like a pity read. I don't know. But I read for John and they go, you're not John, but we're pretty sure you're Cody. They were like, can you read for Cody? So I read for Cody, and Cody was this character that's like wearing a mask behind, like he's still his twin, right? So like deep down, it's the same person, but in shape and wearing a mask that he's okay. So it was such a beautiful character to play. So I got to bring a lot of my current self to my older self. I mean, my younger self, to bring them together and kind of mold this character of Cody. And John, like Blake Burt, like really was pivotal in creating Cody too, because we're twins. So we really had to have this like back and forth conversation of like where we were and what we're like, how we feel and all these things. So yeah, the process was really interesting for me because I got to read all over the script. Like I played so many people, so it was cool.
I do want to talk about their relationship on a bit more of a deeper level, but I think it's interesting that you originally read for Hicks because I also know Angus initially read for Slovacek. So it's cool to see how everyone kind of, found their place and found the right character for them and the show. How
Yeah.
did you prepare for the role in pre-production, and were you given any material or resources to study?
Absolutely. Yeah, and to jump on that last thing too, like shout out to our casting directors, to really just be like, okay, well, hold on. We put this here, we move this around and really build this team that they have. This is an amazing cast that I'm still extremely close to all of them. We have a platoon text group and it's a lot in there. It's a lot in there. But anyway, go to this question. All right. So prepping for Cody was for me because who I knew Cody was as far as this like complete opposite of John, but also twins. So they're very much the same. I knew that I had to be in really good shape. Like I had to try to really push myself to get to that point. So I started running 3 miles a day and just like trying to be like a Marine. So I like reached out to Marines that I knew. I like if I walked into a store and there was a Marine, I'd be like, hey man, weird question, but I'm about to play a Marine on TV. Can I ask you some questions? And I did. I talked to so many random people just about their experiences and it really really helped me. I mean, like where they were like in boot camp, how mentally they like you kind of go through this arc of emotions, and like trying to complete boot camp and what you're going through and just what the ride to Paris Island felt like and just really, I mean, I was given the script and kind of, in the book, I read the book The Pink Marine, like so I read that entire thing too, but Cody is not in there. Cody is not one of those characters, so I didn't have a lot to pull from that, but I did pull from the scenario. I did pull from what Greg went through, and like I was able to pull things where I could, but for the most part, it was just physically training, prepping the script. I'm a big like if you saw my script, it's like written all over kind of thing. I really like to break it down, and then physical side and really just asking as many questions as I could because I wanted to respect the Marines the most. Like I wanted our military to feel like this wasn't just an acting project for me. It was a chance to really like honor them the best I could. And I hope we did, I hope we really, I hope I did as Cody really brought something to the table that the Marines can look at and be like, okay, well, I mean, that kid kind of looked like he went through it, that he really was in boot camp. So.
That's always really interesting to hear the prep process because there were also Marine advisors on set when you finally got into production. But it's cool to know that you also did your own little research going into it. And you mentioned waking up at 3 a.m. or meeting at 3 a.m. because you did have a strict regimen that you kind of set for yourself with the cardio before shooting, another workout afterwards. So that must have been like very heavy on the body. But I know you said that by the end of the project, you lost 40 pounds. So it's always also maybe like, was it a personal goal of yours as well, in combination with the character to lose this weight and go through a bit of that physical transformation?
Absolutely. So every Marine that I talked to, they were like, I lost a ton of weight. Like they're like through boot camp, they're giving you a certain amount of calories a day and you're running so much. They're like, that's one thing is like you will not look the same from the beginning to the end. So I knew if I was going to do this character justice, like if I was going to do the Marines right, that I had to lose weight. So like that was a non-negotiable for me. But at the same time, I talked to like Andy and Greg, and I've talked to a bunch of the people, director Peter Hauer. Like I've talked to him about what I wanted Cody to be, and I really wanted Cody to almost be this like, Cody goes to the gym and does all this physical stuff to try to fix himself, and John almost is like the opposite, where he goes internal and really like is trying to fix that route. And oftentimes, and I'm not calling anybody out, I'm calling myself out. I will go to the gym instead of therapy. And like you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go hit the weights. I'm down. I'm having a rough day. I'm just gonna go, work out. But I'm sorry, the weights don't talk back to you. At least they shouldn't. If they are, maybe you should see a therapist anyways. I don't know, or a psychiatrist. I don't know, So I just think that Cody, if I did that the right way, you would see this transformation and you would also see that he wasn't working on like the emotional side and it slowly broke him because he had nobody to turn to anymore at all, so he was not prepped for that. So that's funny. I'm like trying not to spoil things. I'm like, no, I can spoil things now. I feel like we're in that mode. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you see in episode 8, he cracks. You know, it's too much. He has no way of really, his emotions are not regulated. Too many things happen, and his nervous system takes over. So, but yeah,
We will get into that scene, but it's the contrast between Cody and John with like that physical release versus the emotional release and what each character feels comfortable doing at the time. Can you share some insight into how you shaped Cody with respect to his demeanor and his major personality traits in the show?
absolutely. So I think one thing as an actor is what we've always been taught, at least, is like you can't judge your character. Like he is the way he is for a reason. If you can really dive deep, you'll see why. And I've had a lot of help with amazing coaches in this process, but it was just me trying to go as deep as I could with John, with Blake, to say like, why were we like this, dog? Like, why did we really have such an issue with each other? But the thing is, what people don't know is we shot those 3 episodes, and me and Blake's characters were different. We shot the 3 episodes, and then they tested the show, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna add backstory to your guys' characters." So we shot those flashback scenes later on. So, but we had talked to Andy and Greg and Peter and all these people about how our dad was an alcoholic. Our mom, really was on John's side. We really talked through all this, and they listened in such an amazing way where we had this backstory for each other's characters, and they ran with it. And it was like, wait, that works, we can see it in you guys, we can see that like Cody doesn't hate John at all, and I had this talk with one of our directors that we had to really kind of we had to kind of step to the side and have a real conversation, because directors come in different episodes, like they switch out. We had a bunch of different directors, right? And I had to really share the entire backstory and my heart behind Cody, because I think he had a different idea of who Cody was. And I was like, no, no, no. It was the scene with me and Slovacek and John in the bathroom when I'm tied up to John. And he was like, no, 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 you hate Cody. I mean, you hate John. I was like, hold on. I was like, John's the only person I love here. Like that's it. Like everyone else, I don't trust easy. Cody doesn't trust easy. Like he's, like Slovacek is someone he eventually gets to the point where he's okay letting him in a little bit, but Cody doesn't trust. He's, has been trained by his dad that it's like you just lock in and you move forward. So I think that it's not like there was no judgment of Cody. It was just like I love my brother, but I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to handle this. Mom's never been really close to me, and dad just treated me like, someone that he was almost living through. That he was like, I'm gonna put all of these thoughts and pressures on this kid to make him unbreakable. So I was just trying to be stoic and unbreakable, and eventually you see that never works out. That like if you don't handle your stuff, you break because you're just human. So yeah.
So, on that effect of his upbringing on the Cody we meet today, there's clearly a lot of emotions that he has yet to work through. How do you think it was like his relationship and his thoughts about his father? Because, as you kind of noted, his father's trying to live vicariously through Cody, but at the same time, Cody is being punished for John's increasing weight. So, there's that relationship where the father favorites Cody, but at the same time, he doesn't treat him very well. So how did that affect his psyche?
I mean, I don't know, broke that kid. But I was definitely an interesting thing to balance for sure, like you're saying. There was a scene that was cut, just because of like timing. But John talks about how my dad gave me a key to our fridge. So like he put a lock on the fridge and gave me the key. And even though that wasn't seen, that was written. And so me and John, like me and Blake really did hold on to that. And so what you don't realize is, yes, John gained weight, but Cody unlocked the fridge. So like Cody knew what he was doing. Cody knew he was gaining weight. And that was okay because it made John happy. And like Cody could take a hit. Like, in that scene, I'm crying for multitude of reasons, but the pun like my lips not it. Cody's not crying because he's in pain. Here. He's here. And so, because the line is, you gained 3 pounds this week. So dad gave me this. And I just move on. Right. So it's like Cody's used to this. But like at the end of the day, he just wanted to make John happy. Like he wanted to love John. And love is so poorly defined for Cody. Because, mom is really, she's really, and me and John have talked about, Blake have talked about this. Mom's really connected with John because of like how close my dad is to me. Like John needs somebody. So I never really connected with my mom too much. It was more of just like a caretaker kind of thing. Like, I'll take care of her. But, she's my mom. I'll take care of her. But it wasn't like we were close. And so I was doing all this for John, knowing that it would make my dad upset and he would hit me. So it was this weird thing where I did my best to make my dad proud enough with me to ignore John. Like, don't hit John or mom. Like, you can hit me. Like, that's fine. And so there's just so many layers to Cody. And I think on the surface, you can be like, he's just this, jerk and all these things. But like that flashback scene, there is so much behind that scene that I hope we get to explore more in another season. Netflix.
That fridge and the key, without seeing it though, it says so much about the responsibility and the burden that Cody undertook when they were young. Can you expand on his motivation to now join the Marines and the internal and external pressures he feels, also having John around and there's that immediate tension early on.
So his initial like reasoning for going to the Marines was obviously like John touched on it, like we're a generation of Marines, that's something we do. But that scene in the younger Cody and John's room when I leave, at that point, that was the only thing that made sense to Cody. Like when I stay here, stuff happens. If I try to help John, stuff happens. If I try to just listen to dad, stuff happens. Like nothing's working in my life. So let me just go do this Marines thing. It was like an escape from my reality. And so I was hoping that this would be this thing I could just go off to. It's like that scene when we're tied together. It's like you want to be a leatherneck now? Like you think you can come do this? Like why couldn't you let me do this one thing by myself? It's just because it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want to be with John. It's like, yo, dude, like you had it good at home without me. Mom loved you, dad didn't touch you. Now you're coming here, and you know how hard this is gonna be? You know how tough this is gonna be? You're not gonna be able to do this. So it's so Cody's so interesting. And I don't know, it's a tough dynamic with us when we first get there because I'm not processing any emotions, obviously. We just shove them things down. Like The Rock said in Central Intelligence, he was like, I just take my feelings and I shove them deep, deep down inside and I just kind of forget about them. And like that's basically what Cody was doing. So the tension in the beginning is just because I like the plan that I had backfired. So I think that's it. Like he's like, it's not this tension that I really hate my brother. It's this tension of like, oh my gosh, all right, well here he is again. Let's figure this out. How am I going to handle this one? Like, okay, I think it's best if I just get rid of him. Like if I can find some way for him to leave, he won't have to go through all this because he's just going to be made fun of here too.
What's kind of, I would say, a bit counterintuitive, but it speaks to characters' thought processes, is that Cody's forgetting that if he removes himself at home, then John will likely get beat up on and probably their mother as well. But at the time, Cody's like not really, I don't want to say thinking straight because this is his reality, but he doesn't really think about removing himself from the household. And other impacts that could have on his family. But I want to talk about, the evolution of their once close relationship between Cody and John, because in the flashbacks, we can see when they're younger that they comforted each other during storms, and John helped Cody with school. So, keeping in mind that love that you said he kind of internalizes that he has for his brother, why does he openly insult him to his face and with the other recruits?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. I think that he openly insults him for multiple reasons. I think Cody's number one goal is to get John to leave. Like, so however he has to do that. And I also think that deep down, subconsciously, like Cody is becoming his dad. That was something that I really was trying to play with as we go through. Like, Cody's the one that throws up when we're running because of the alcohol. I drank too much, and my dad's an alcoholic. So it's like he's slowly becoming his dad. And I think the reason I make fun of him openly was like, I know this hurts John, and like I'll try to hurt him enough so where he'll leave. And but there's a scene too where he's doing the pull-ups, and Slovacek says, "Pack your bags, fatty," or when he's doing the pull-ups, and you can see Cody like looks back, almost like, "Hold on, like I can make fun of him, like I can say whatever I want, but if any of y'all try to touch my brother, like I'll be out of you." You know what I'm saying? Like that's when I kind of draw the line where it's like you see this moment of like, hold up, like that's my guy still, so it's like I'm trying to push him enough. And I look, brothers also just fight. So there are times when it's just, a brotherly fight and they're aggravated. Like my cousins, they're twins, and I talked to them a lot before I went into this process too. And there's twins fight, brothers fight. So there are times where we say things we don't mean, and we hurt their feelings and the emotion and everything. So it's like not saying that every single like thing said, Cody was like, "Aha, this is a great plan." Sometimes it definitely was just being upset and being hurt and all the things. So,
I love that you said that sometimes they just rib each other, but it's clearly a lot more deeper for them given their home life. And at the same time, Cody, he doesn't have the courage, obviously, to stand up to someone like Slovacek. He still wants to put on this facade that I don't like my brother in maybe his kind of miscalculated efforts at getting John to leave. But tell me
yeah.
a bit more about those conversations that you had with your on-screen brother, with Blake, about the twins' relationship and finding that understanding to their past.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, me and Blake genuinely are brothers at this point. We're best friends. I talk to him every day. And it's amazing. And I think we have flushed out the Bowman brothers storyline, at least the past, to the point where if they were like, "You guys need to just go ahead and write a spinoff, Brandon and John, Brandon and Blake, go ahead and write a spinoff." We could do it. We could do it. We got it all flushed out. We really know where we're going and where we've been. So I think that we just made the underlying love for both of us, even in all the hate and all the things that we went through at the house. And my dad has two brothers as well, so I talked to him a lot about it. But really, it's just we underlined everything with love, but we also like fully understand that I'm my dad's son and he's mom's kid. Like that was something we did fully agree on. And yeah, I mean, like, there's the scenes where he's like, I got you through senior English, I got you through this. Like, it's not all flutter kicks and all these things. It's like we were boys, like we were twins, like we were each other's best friend. So it's like everything is complicated when we get to boot camp because the facade, like Cody's wearing 17 masks. Like I'm wearing a mask that I hate my brother. I'm wearing it, but I've got everything figured out. I'm wearing that I'm tough. I'm wearing that I'm this because, like you said, like I didn't stand up to Slovacek till the end, where it was this like, I finally say stop talking, and then when he comes to try to stop me, I break his nose, like that kind of thing, So it's like it is something that I've put in so many walls on, but even to touch to that, like, it's because of what I saw in Slovacek, and I think we're going to talk more about that later. But I'm just saying, like, it's what I saw in him. But for me and my brother, it was really just fully fleshed out in the fact that we are twins and we have the same, you know, desires. Really, at the end of the day, is to be loved and to be enough for our family. So he's trying to be enough. I'm trying to be enough. And we're just both coming up short in our own ways. So it was just tough. So,
It's nice for you and Blake, though, to be on the exact same page because it makes it so much easier to also understand the perspective of, your scene partner and the other brother. And you mentioned casting before, did such an incredible job. I have to say, you do look like identical twins.
when we're bald, I'll say it.
Okay, so like I was
I
wondering
know.
what you
I
would
know.
say. No, no, no. I think you look like fraternal twins. Blake
No,
actually
no,
told
no.
me to that
Blake,
there's some
no,
lore
see?
behind.
Blake, I knew the reason I said that is because I knew Blake told you that. Like, Blake literally will comment on all my TikToks, Instagram videos, all that. He's like, golly, I can't believe we're identical twins. We look so similar. Our abs are the same, our shoulders are the same, our jawline's the same. So at this point, I'm buying in. I'm just like fully identical. He looks just like me. I love the guy, like, so I'm buying in. He's identical.
Describe the feeling at camp, having Sergeant Howitt tie the two together, physically forcing them to be in close quarters. Like, how did Cody feel? Because you mentioned that he's trying to escape, and the same thing with John, but they just can't seem to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the rope worked 100%. So how it cuts the rope, right? And he goes, "May the best brother win," that scene, and we take off. Well, the reason it was also so surprising to us is because written and shot, we have a scene where we ran through the whole thing tied together. So like I'm like yanking him over the pole, and I'm yanking him over the wall, I'm yanking him over the logs, and it was aggressive. Like poor Blake, like tumbled multiple times because I bought in way too hard. I went too method, yanked that kid over some logs. He fell a couple times, and it was rough. I think they really like just like guys, how are you gonna go over this metal pole? Like the metal pole part, like how would you do that? With tied together. So I think they got rid of it because of that. But yeah, we did go through it. But I think that it did work because I was forced to talk to him. We talked in the bathroom. We talked, like we were like he was tied to me in bed, and going through every obstacle together, tied together, unseen or seen on screen. I had to make these decisions on whether to help him or to like hurt him. And obviously, I want to win. Like Cody wants to win. That's what he's been taught to do. There's trophies in his room when he's a kid because that's how his dad has taught him. So I helped John through all the obstacles. When we ran and he's tired, I'm like, no, let's keep going. We got over the obstacles, even though I was being aggressive. At the end of the day, like, okay, well, we're tied together. We're going to win. Like, I'm going to bring you along. So it really did just make us talk. And it made me really have to just like want my brother to win because for me to win, my brother had to win too. And so it really did like do a lot to us as characters because we did shoot that stuff. Some of it didn't make it, but we did shoot it, and we felt that, and we felt that feeling of trying to get through the obstacles together, and what that it was is like him being my brother. So I think it was great. And that's funny because I've had a lot of Marines reach out and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Like I could definitely see a DI doing that, like kind of thing." So it's cool. It was a great scene. And I think, shout out to just let me just take a second and say shout out to all of our extras in the show. We had some extras be so committed to this entire process, shave their heads, stay there. But when I was in that bed, cuddled up with Blake, that first time when he's like, "Here, here, sugar tits, whatever, blah blah blah," and he like tying us together. There was an extra across from me, and he was so locked in to like this, like I could see this like embarrassment for Cody, and like because here's this tough guy, this big guy, whatever, was being like pushed around and tied to his brother, and now he's sleeping in. It's like this embarrassment, like he didn't know if he should look at me and like all these things. And even though that he was never seen, shout out to all of our extras because they bought in every single time. And we pulled so much from their reactions and their emotions and all these things. So yeah, I think the rope worked and I think we had an amazing platoon of background actors.
It definitely gives you so much, like you mentioned, like that back and forth to be able to then, give even more in your performances that we see on screen. And especially for Cody, you mentioned that embarrassment because he was named a squad leader. So he did have that visible potential, but here he is being, tied to his brother, his weaker brother at that point. Tell me about John's fall during the obstacle course and Cody's swift reaction, because despite the constant belittling, like why did he react the way he did?
Yeah. I think that was the first moment. That was like a lot of talks on set for us. That was a big day. Just how he would react, how Cody would react, why he would act like he did. And I think like they say when you're when you're healthy, you have 1,000 problems. And when you're sick, you have one. And before John was hurt, like where it was something serious, we had all these problems, right? But as soon as he hit the ground, he was just that little kid in that bed with me again today, like when he was helping me through the storm. Like he was just my brother. Like it was all the things, all the problems, all the issues in our life went away. And all I saw was my brother bleeding on the ground. And so that like one word response, just John, like how like it like did that to me because I like I don't know, I turned around and I felt this like feelings of like pain and like sadness and like every single person disappeared and it was just my brother. And like you can even see that when I run over to him and I like am looking down at him and Max says, "Turn around, recruit." And I look straight in the eyes. And it's the only time I think I ever looked at a DI in the eyes was about my brother, where I had this like instinct of like, what did you just say? But then I saw it and I was like, gosh, what am I doing? I have to turn around because that's my boss, like that's the guy. So I think just people got to see that Cody loves his brother in that moment. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that he's still his guy, and that he would defend him, fight for him, all the things, and then we had a letter that I wrote in that scene too, and that was such a really cool added scene as well. That I love my handwriting in that on that piece of paper. It's like really big and like looks like a kid wrote it, And I wrote that for the record. All right, I'm not trying to. It wasn't some set deck that made it look that way. That's my handwriting. And I just said John, are you okay? And then I ripped it up or like, I crumpled it up and stuff. It's like, cause like, no, 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 I don't want him to know that I care. I mean, like, I don't want anybody to know I care. I just like, he'll be fine without me.
In your opinion, why does Cody align himself with Slovacek and Hicks? Like, what are his impressions of them when he first meets them? And then obviously getting to share scenes opposite Kieron and Angus together as a unit. What were those like?
Yeah, they were so awesome. So awesome. Angus was actually the first person I met on set. Like we showed up like at the same time. And we were both just like nervous and ready to go and hyped and all these things. And especially because I read for Hicks too, I was hyped about his character. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be sick. But Slovacek, Kieran was out of the country still, in the beginning. So he was just over Zoom. So I didn't really get to meet him that like until a little bit later. But sharing a screen with both of those actors, they're both incredible actors. They're so talented. I really connected with both of them. We talk all the time still, but they're the most, our entire cast is the most giving cast in a scene. They're, if it's, they could be my coverage and every camera's on me. Angus is giving it every time. Kieran's giving it every time. And they just want the best for each of us. And so I think that our brotherhood, of those three guys off screen was even stronger than the one that was on screen. So it was just a good time. I think our little garden scene, when we're planting plants, and it's just kind of like shooting the crap together, and I'm like Two-Face, and Angus is like, oh, it's saltpeter's, and Kieran's like, I can get hard right now, like that scene is such our relationship, where it's like just being silly and talking about random things and just like saying the most outlandish things. And I don't know, it's like it's the one cast where I feel like every time I see them, it's like you just expect the biggest hug. Like you're ready to be loved on by every one of them. So sharing a screen with those two guys, I think our dynamic too, just even going to like the acting world, and it's like our dynamic of people. Like I see Slovacek, unfortunately, as my dad. And not like I'm saying, like his demeanor and how he talks to people and how he, like, it's literally, that's why I'm gravitating towards Slovacek, even if it's subconscious. Like I'm literally just, this feels most like home. And then with Angus, Hicks is the most unregulated, unlike, I mean, no real rhyme or reason, like, so it's like it's also chaos. So I'm like, look, I think that's something even in life, we tend to gravitate towards the things we know. And Hicks and Slovacek are just what I know. And unfortunately, towards the end, everything really does. The Marines have a good way of making you one and really breaking everything down. So, it got to the point where we were closer, but really, it was, you were just seeing what you were looking for in people.
I love your explanation behind it because, for each character, they have different motivations for gravitating towards certain people, whether it's like, oh, they can challenge me, oh, I see them as an equal. So to hear that he found familiarity in them. And I love that you said the scenes were a little silly between the trio because I would say for Hicks, he was very dead serious. He was talking about some of, I was talking to Angus about the conspiracy theorists in him, which is quite entertaining. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
for you, how are the training activities to film? Because you were in like all of them. Are there any that stood out to you in particular that you have very fond memories from when shooting?
Absolutely. So I think the one that's like the biggest like memory, other than I won't touch on the fall scene again because we've talked about it a few times, but that was a big one for me when John fell, and like doing the ropes with him and stuff was great. But it's the slide for life when we're like doing this thing, like climbing out over it. Hilarious day. Like training for it was funny, doing it was funny, and it also was challenging. I think that was probably my most enjoyable because just a funny moment. I can pick on myself for a second. I'm a big guy. So I was going down this slide, right? And by the time I get to the bottom where I'm supposed to flip around, I'm so heavy that the rope's doing like this. So like I'm like almost going, I'm like climbing up a hill trying to go at the bottom because my rope's like this now. And so I'm trying to climb uphill. So I mean, I was laughing at myself. I was like, dear God, can we make this rope a little taunter? Because I'm this big guy. It's like I'm just doing this as I'm going on. So that was super fun. And it was a great scene for me and Kieran too. It's such a little moment in the show, but you have this like goof where we both land and we have a bro moment. And it's like our first like bro moment. We're like, I think I might have a friend here, like, and so that was a cool, it's so funny. Like me and Kieran, we joked that we were like C cams, like people. Like we were the guys for CCAM. We joked about it all the time. We were like, we're gonna give you guys them reactions. We're gonna, like we're gonna you're gonna get something from us from every time. It was like we're gonna be in it, even if we're not in the scene, we're gonna give you something. And it's so cool. A bunch of those little moments from CCAM from while other people were working did make the show because me and Kieran were just like locked into having a good time as these two dudes. And I think you can see that on screen. It's like even though Cody is this bigger guy physically, you can see that it's not. I don't like Cody doesn't see himself that way, for the most part, especially with Kieran. it's this like my shoulders are kind of rolled forward at times with Kieron. I'm like, a little. I'm not. It's my dad, right? Like it's this feeling of like this is the guy, and I'm kind of his buddy, and I'm not like I'm just gonna chill here, until it becomes something else later on in the season. So yeah, I loved it. That was probably my favorite memory. That was the slide for life because it made me laugh at myself. So,
I mean, I know you all had harnesses, but you're still really high up, you're still making your way through these activities. And so kudos to all of you. And I love that with Kieran, you're in the subconsciously, it's like, how can I maximize my screen time? It's like, giving 110% in
absolutely,
character. So I
absolutely.
love that those little moments kind of some of them snuck their way in. And speaking about, little moments and cameos, in episode 4, your late grandmother made an appearance in the form of a picture that Cody kept with him at boot camp. You've said that she was one of your biggest cheerleaders. So, how did this little cameo and her picture come to be in the show?
Yeah. Um, she was on my dresser too. In the flashback scene, there's a little moment of her on there. But so I realized that I said, like, in the script, I said, dude, that's my grandma. And they're like, hey, we got these pictures we're going through trying to find a grandma for you that looks like both of you. And I was like, guys, hold on. I have a grandma. Give me a second. And I like found this old picture of her and I like submitted it to them and I was like, I mean, you can see Blake in there, right? Like you can see, she kind of looks like Blake, right? And I had to like kind of like go back and forth with them. They're like, are you okay if we use this? I was like, can you ask? They said, can you ask her if we're allowed to use it? And I was like, she's gonna be okay. She's in heaven right now. So like I was like, I don't need to go ask her, but like I promise you have permission. She would love that. And she was my biggest supporter. Like I remember I had this Home Depot commercial when I first started out. And like this much of my arm made it. Just about that much. Right. She told all of her friends. She was like, yeah, my grandson's in a Home Depot commercial. I'm like, Mama, I'm not really, I mean, I am, but I'm not. And I just said, Mama, a funny story about that is I went up to Andy and I was like, yo, Andy, can I ask you a question? I said, can I say, dude, that's my mama? And he goes, let's stick with grandma. Like, he was like, let's calm down on the mammals, like we don't need mama. Let's go with grandma and we'll stick with that. I said, cool, 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 for sure, for sure. So yeah, no, it was great. It was like one of the biggest blessings, and she's passed away and my dad and my uncle, Charles is he like it was really, really special to both of them to be able to see her forever, encapsulated in on TV. So it was really cool. And it also made that one line, dude, that's my grandma. So real. And I did, like it was so nice to be able to like just go like, hey, 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 like get off of that, kind of feeling. So it was good.
I mean, you tried fitting in that mama in there, but at
I
least you got
tried.
her photo in
Yeah.
there, and that's what counts and matters. And I'm sure your family also thought it was a very special moment to see that. Speaking about an emotional pivotal scene, can you tell me about Ochoa's death from Cody's perspective and what the energy in the room was like during filming?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a that was a big day for sure. I mean, we all like, it's one of those where you like have it circled on your calendar kind of things, where it's like, oof, this is gonna be a heavy day. And we just all, respected Jonathan and his process for that day and kind of just let him do whatever he needed to do. And I will say that Jonathan like gave everything he had for that scene. And we all didn't really have to act much. It was just a heavy room. And it shifted, I think, the entire platoon as far as the show goes as to like how real boot camp is. Like we actually just lost, like someone just died here. And so I think, oh, there we go. Someone just died here, and I think that that was a big shift for the entire show, where this is not a game. This is not a summer camp, and Jonathan did just such a great job with that scene. And it's cool that he's getting his flowers online, like a lot of people are making like TikTok edits of him and stuff. And like, I can't believe they killed my boy Ochoa. Like, like I love it. So it's cool that he's getting that kind of recognition. But it was just heavy, and I think that for Cody in particular, it made him worry about John and how he was doing and wherever he was, and worried of just what could come for anybody there. Because it was such a like I think the fact of the matter is like none of us, nobody knew what happened on that phone call, right? So it's like, as the audience, you're like, oh, I see it. He was upset. He was hurt. Blah blah blah. As far as we knew, like he just called his girl, and then that happened. And like where you can speculate and all the things, and that's why in our scene with the gardening thing is like it's Two Face and blah blah blah, and like all these things, because we're like, what just happened? And I don't know. It was a special scene for all of us, and got to see Jonathan work, and it was cool. It was cool and super sad. I know. It's like we get to see it. So I think when you're on the day and you see it happen a bunch of times, because we obviously have to shoot the scene in so many different ways and angles, and so many takes and all of that. I think all of us kind of lose a little bit of the punch of what it is because you see it so much on the day. But as far as the characters go and the story, it was huge for all of us, for sure.
And at that point, no one knows about his heart condition, like you mentioned. And, Ochoa was such a pure-hearted character. So it was a shock to see him go in that way. Like, you don't expect that to happen. Next episode, Cody and John meet face to face in the mess hall. Take me through that brief interaction from Cody's perspective and seeing John and his physical transformation for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, it was really cool just as seeing Blake come to set and everybody get to see him actually like all his work too. So that was neat as just like, that's my boy Blake doing his thing and crushing and everybody's loving on him. But in that scene, Cody is just so numb at that point, doesn't really know what to feel like in general. And I know that he was definitely thinking about John um, often at that point, especially after the death and all of that. So, I mean, you can see like when I plop the food on and just kind of like pull my head up, it's not like your boy's excited to be there to do this food, like, so when I see him in that moment, it's a lot of things. It's, oh my gosh, like John's okay, holy crap, he actually lost the weight, you know? And then he goes, fuck you, Cody. And it's like, all right, and now you're a jerk. All right, cool. So you used to love me, and then you lost all this weight, and you're okay, but now you're saying fuck you, Cody. And then I'm like, oh, like I feel like my character's like, oh, are you serious? Did you just say that? So I walk away all mad and like upset and everything. But it was just this roller coaster of like, holy crap, oh my gosh. And that's why I'm like, like I'm like, Sean, like it's such a weird moment for Cody where he's like, oh yeah, holy shit, he's like, what the heck, and then when he says fuck you, and I'm like, all right, cool, well, all right, and I'm gonna go clean these dishes because I don't know how to feel right now because I'm gonna go beat him up, kind of thing, like where it's this moment of like, okay, I need to wrestle that kid, so like I think that's there's a moment when I'm walking back to the kitchen, I kind of like look to the left to see if I see him. And then I go back to do the dishes. And like, I don't know, there's just so many things that Cody's going through of like what I should do. And then I think it's the first time where I kind of stand up to Slovacek in a way. Because again, my brother's back in the picture. And if he's subconsciously how I see my dad, it's like, hey, look, like I'm gonna stand up to you at this point. Like this is where I start to like have that shift again, where it's like John's back in the picture. So I'm not that I don't need you, but it's also like my priority list just flipped a little bit in that moment. So he's like, "Why is everybody being a little bitch today?" So funny, but yeah, so many good moments.
Yeah, that delivery of that line by Kieran, but also with Blake and his line too, because I think they're all dealing with such a rush of emotions at that point. And then, of course, the Bowmans receive word that their father has passed and are offered time to return home, but they would have to finish training with different platoons. How is Cody processing this information, and what did you lean on in those complicated, conflicting emotions?
That was a big day. That conversation was huge. I think Cody is just built by his dad to say, okay, what's in front of us and how do we, well, what's next? What's the next step? How would I do to complete what we need to complete right now? And so Cody truly, when he's told the news, it's like there's no time to grieve. It's time to go home, take care of business. I'm now the like dad of the house. I'm the head of the house. And in that moment, Cody switches to dad mode, and like you can see that when I'm like walking away, it's like, all right, thank you, sir. Appreciate your time. I need to go home. And Cody is like thinking instantly, okay, well, I've got to get the funeral taken care of. I got to make sure mom's okay. I got to make sure this is handled. All right, well, I've got to get the grass, make sure someone's cutting that. Like, there's so many things where it's like he goes into dad mode instantly. And I think if I'm just brother mode, my interaction with John doesn't make as much sense. Um, because at this point, John hasn't been listening to me anyways. It's not like like John is my gopher. He's doing what he wants to do at this time. But when you think of it in the perspective of, okay, now I'm the head of the house. Like it's time to go. Like we're doing our thing. I turn around, I'm like, John, what are we doing? We got to go. Like it's time. It's almost like a parent saying, get your in the car. It's like it's time we're leaving. Kind of feeling. And I think there's that like this is the moment. This is John's like flip, and you can see right before Cedric McKinnon like comes around the corner, like steps in front of me. I'm about to cry. Like it's like Cody's like just starting to kind of break a little bit, where it's like, okay, all right, my life's falling apart. Like my dad just died. My brother wants something to do with me. I don't know what to do because like in my brain, as Cody, the obvious choice is to go home. Like this should be the simplest answer. Like that's our family. And John sees it as like, no, this is my family now. As far as I see it, Blake could answer that differently, but like this is where he's supposed to be. And it shakes my brain. Where I'm like, what are you talking about? We don't even know these guys. Like that's our mom. And there was some other lines that we threw in during the last part where I chased John, where I said like mom's alone, like or like we got to go take care of mom, or like we did touch on the mom thing. But I'm not sure if that's something they want to address in another season or something, but we did talk about that because that's what my mind was thinking. It wasn't about, oh, I'm so sad about that. I am sad about that, but I know that nobody's going to take care of mom now. It's like I have to go home. And so that was just such a big flip because then I knew everything I was trying to do was not working at all. I was sucking at this job of being a brother slash dad, so
In terms of wanting John to come home with him, he has this line where, I can't go home without you. So despite their differences, like why does he feel like John has to be there with him? Because they had that conversation at night, as you mentioned, and John says that Cody is the one that needs a brother, not him. So again, there's that shift between like those mindsets, but Cody can't quite grasp the full picture of the situation. He's still kind of stuck in the past, and like you mentioned, maybe trying to be his father in his absence.
yeah. I think the reason I can't go home is super layered. I think there's part of him that like doesn't want to face it alone. Like I don't think I could look like at dad in a casket without my brother there, like just emotionally. And then there's also another part of it where it's like our mom always preached like you take care of your brother kind of thing. So it's like I felt like it was like me going home alone would be useless. Like I have to have you or mom's going to be hurt. Like I want to go, like I need to make sure mom's like you're there for mom. I'll handle all the other stuff, and you can be there for mom to take care of her. And then also I'm weak. Cody is physically strong, but mentally he's just a kid. Like he really is this kid still trying to figure things out. He was never allowed to be a kid, growing up. And I think that he's still just working through so much that that moment is a mixture of like, I think it's my responsibility, but also at the same time, it's like I don't know if I emotionally can do it. And I would love to like have you there if I'm admitting that, for just some emotional support. Because I don't think I could do that by myself.
I imagine he's also like disappointed in John's choice at that time. Given his John's relationship with his mother, he's probably thinking like you should want to come home and be there for her. So although we don't get, the mention of the mother, I think it says a lot kind of in the interactions that they have there. Can you tell me about Slovacek's pep talk from Cody's perspective and filming that scene opposite Kieran?
Kieron crushed that scene first and foremost. It's so good. It's so good. Again, he's one of those actors that makes your job as an actor real easy because he's bringing it. So sitting there though, like we talked about it, we were like, this is Marine's therapy, right? This is guy therapy, right? This is like when we first sit down, it made us laugh the first time we did it because we sat down, we do these kind of like like these moments of like, are we about to talk about our emotions right now? Like, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. So from Cody's perspective, I see it in the beginning of like, because like I let him sit down, right? Like he's like, you know, don't go dog on me, bam bam. Like fun fact, side note, we did the Flintstones when I was a kid as a baby, and my mom would call me Bam Bam, like for Halloween. So they found out about that, and then they put it in the script. Super cool, love it. Anyway, so he's like, don't go dark on me, Bam Bam, and I take the food, right, and I let him sit down. I could have been like, get out of here. So I think that this was Cody's like, all right, like maybe I need to talk to somebody, right? And then Slovacek completely screws it up, like says all the wrong things, but he was trying so hard. And I think that's such a look into what men do sometimes. Like sometimes we're like, all right, I'm about to like hit you with this knowledge, right? And it's like, bro, you just made me feel so much worse. And it's like, all right, but I was trying. Like you see that, right? I was doing my best, So we're definitely not therapists, but we try our best. And I think that like truly, and Kieran could answer this different, but truly, I think Slovacek was given the best answer he could possibly give. He's like, this is gold. Like, he's like, I'm helping you out, dog. Like, whatever hole he rots in, like, yeah, look who's losing now. It's like, in his mind, he's like, that's it. You're good, dog. You should feel great now. You're good. I just took care of you. Like, is what Slovacek's thinking in his head, in my brain. So I think it gets to the point where I'm just like, this isn't working for me. I tried. This isn't it. So stop talking. And I get up and I go. Because I'm not aggressive. I'm just like, stop talking. It's like this isn't working for me. I tried to do this brother thing with you and like tried to do the like hear you out, but this isn't it for me. Loved it. Great scene. Phenomenal.
So after that scene is like that night scene that Cody and John share. And then the following day, you talk about, he's not aggressive, but the following day he has that kind of switch and he leaves the line, he's so close to finishing the Crucible. He physically goes after John to try to get him to come home with him. Tell me about the motive behind it and how challenging was that scene for you to film?
Okay. All right. This is it. I love this moment was crazy. Um, so how is it to film? we'll go with that first. So on the day, there's like so many people. Like this was a big day for Cody, and like so producers were there, like writers were there, everybody's there. And like, all right, this is Brandon's day. Brandon's about to crush this scene, guys. Like, oh, here we go. Like, no pressure, no pressure at all, right? And so we had like 200 people there. Knew it was this big emotional scene, and I'm a believer. So like on the day though, like I thought, okay, I'm kind of crushing this. Like we're on our last episode, like we doing our thing as an actor, like kind of like we're doing it. They're like, all right, we're gonna shoot the wide. And like zero emotions were happening. Like nothing. I was like, oh boy, okay, all right. It's gonna come, it's gonna come. They're like, all right, we're gonna get a little closer. I'm like, all right, like it's getting to that point, I need to start feeling something. And then we get to like our close up. And I don't know if you've seen Like Mike. Like it's the movie where it's like this basketball movie where the kid puts his shoes on, but they were Michael Jordan shoes, and he like ties them and he goes, "Make me like Mike," and he can play like Michael Jordan, right? Well, they gave him new shoes in this movie, and he could no longer be Michael Jordan, right? So he was like, "I gotta pee," so he took off and went and switched his shoes out. So they get to my close up, and I'm like, I gotta pee. I like take off and they're like waiting on me. And I go out there and I'm in the parking lot. No, not many people on this set know this, but I go, okay, God, I'm gonna fail. I am feeling no emotions. I'm like talking to God. I'm like, this is awful. I'm so sorry. I was like, I need your help. Like, I'm not gonna do good here. I'm about to fail in front of all these people. But then I said, but if I fail, I know you'll teach me something through this. So it's all good. Whatever you want to do, I'm going to give it everything I got. But if I fail, it's okay. And I said that, and if any of the producers heard that, they'd be like, "You better not fail. It's not okay." This is a big day for us. But I go back in there, and again, I'm definitely a spiritual person. I go back in there and I get on my mark, and as soon as they say, "All right, rolling," I get tingles over my entire body, like this weird, like emotions hit me out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, we're good to go. I'm like, run it, shoot it, let's do it. And it's cool because like even my buddies around me, Dom was behind me, Nash, and he was like, oh, that boy locked in now. He's locked in. Like he could feel it. And then like one of our ADs was like, Brandon's locked in, guys. All right, lock it up. It's like, stop talking. Like they could all feel this emotion that was like kind of like broiling up inside of me from that moment on. So I think it was just a really cool experience for me as a believer that I can do what I do with the Lord as well in those moments. And like, so that was really cool. But as far as the emotional side for Cody, there's a great line that they kind of put the voiceover of. It was what Slovacek was saying, but he was like, you don't dip out on your brothers, or you don't leave your brothers, or something like that. Forget the exact line. But he's like, you don't leave your brothers. And on that line, I look over. Shout out to our editors. Like, oh my gosh, it was fantastic. I couldn't ask for that. I look over and I see John. Like when it says like, you don't leave your brothers, you don't like back on your brothers. Ain't that right, Bam Bam? So he's like saying that line while I'm looking at my brother. Ain't that right, Bam Bam? Right. So because I just took my backstory and put it on Cody too, like mom called me Bam Bam in the show, like in my mind, because that's what it was. So it like reminded me of my kid, like my childhood, and like my brother and all these things. So it's like that moment just was like, I have tried everything else. I'm gonna go after him, like I'm gonna kill him. So it's like I feel like it was just like I tried to be nice in the woods. I tried to talk with him on the gravel. Like I was like, all right, last option is to beat him up, grab him, or I don't know, like kill him. I don't know. Like I just knew like I need to go. Like everything's not working. Let's go for it. So you see this like internal breakdown of Cody where he's like going through all these things, and it's like I'm just gonna go after him, and so take off after him, and it's really, I don't think Cody even knew what he was going to do when he got there. It's like, I don't think he really did. I think it was all just happening so fast. It wasn't like this predetermined thing. I'm going to go beat him up or anything. It was more so like he said that I saw my brother, like nothing I'm doing is working. Like I don't think Cody really thinks about the consequences very often. I think he's just kind of a move first, think later Kind of like in the beginning, like you said, even like how like I think leaving is gonna make the house better. It's like, nope, now he's probably actually gonna hit my brother and my mom. You know, it's like so it's like he just thinks and goes. Um, so I took off after him, and I think this last like the latter bit where it's four dudes to like bring me to the ground, you know, like the four DIs to like take me to the ground, and I'm like screaming at my brother as I'm getting pulled down by these people. Is such a external manifestation of what what I was going through looking at John in that scene. It was such like I have so many things pulling at me as I'm trying to get to my brother in such a deep way of like trying to get to him in so many ways, trying to like get my brother back. But I have all these other things pulling me, and whether that's my own emotions, my past, my trauma, my, these friends that I have, these whatever is pulling me down and then like preventing me to get to him. But the cool thing is like when I hit the ground, there was this shift because it's like a really weird scene as a actor. Not many times this happens, but I had a cameraman straddling me with a camera for that last scene where I'm like, it's like just my face. I have a guy just like over me, like real odd for to like be able to like get emotional, and you just have this big camera like right here in your face. But it was cool because like the production is amazing. Like when we had the best people, they would just be like, all right, Brandon, whenever you're ready, like you can take your time, whatever. And I was with Cedric and Nick, and then we had some other stunt players too in there as well. So all great guys. Um, and Nick and Cedric were just so truly there for me in that moment. Like, like always had their hand on me, like on my shoulder, on my back, and like was like, "You're doing great, buddy. You're doing great, buddy. You're doing great, buddy." Like, but always like was encouraging me. And um, so we had this one, like the last take. This is the one that made the project. I like leaned up and I just like prayed. I was like, God, like help me do this. Like help me represent you well. And um they said, "Hey, and action." And when on action, Cedric and Nick pushed me to the ground, like that last like bit. And my eyes are pulling and like, like I'm a wreck. And we have that, and I'm like struggling to breathe. I'm having all these emotions go through me. And then they yell cut. And Nick just hugs me. Nicholas Logan just hugs me. And he's like, buddy, that right there. He's like, that was fucking acting right there. He's like, you gross. He like held me, just like hugged me. And then Cedric, same thing, big old hug. And was like, dude, I don't know what it was, but when you leaned up and you came back, you were a different person. And like for me, I just give all the glory to the Lord, but also just had such an amazing support system around me where I felt so comfortable, so at peace, no real anxiety in that moment. It was just like, all right, let's go, let's do it. And so I just like shout out to my people, like to be able to have a cast where I felt fully comfortable to do anything, be anything I needed to be for a scene, cry in front of them. Like Cedric played at South Carolina, I believe. Like, he's a big football guy too. Nick loves the weight room, very, bro. And the fact that I felt comfortable enough to like ball in front of them, I think says a lot even to our project, right? We're almost like redefining what it's okay. Like there are going to be times where I think a lot of men need to take those moments when they're alone or like with a guy they can trust and just be able to break down and have a moment of like, yo, dude, I'm struggling, like be weak with someone, and I think that I was blessed enough to have that group where if I needed to look weak for a second, I could. So yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you for sharing all of that and the insight. And I have to say, like, that close-up scene where you're physically being restrained and Cody's shaking as he looks up towards the sky and his eyes are so lost and scared. And it broke my heart, but I'm glad that the energy, the spiritual energy came to you at
Yeah.
the right time for you to
Yeah.
accomplish those good scenes. And the
Thank you.
last we see of Cody, of course, it said that he will be taken to the chaplain. What was your reaction when you found out that he wouldn't be graduating with his platoon and his future is kind of hanging in the balance? It's up in the air really at the end
Yeah.
of season one.
Yeah, I mean, as an actor, you're like, does that mean I come back for season two? Like, you get, you're like, do you guys have a plan? Does it mean I'm just gone? Like, I think as an actor, you're like, all right, do I have job security if we get a season two? Am I coming back? Do you guys like me? But for Cody, I think it's the ending he needed. I think it just plays so well into everything they built as the writing team for this show. I think like he is now completely separated from everything. He's going to be forced to return home, and it's just going to be him and mom. Like, that's it. And then I go back and I graduate and I finish the Crucible with strangers. So I am super excited if we get a chance to like explore Cody more for season two, because Cody leaves broken, like in the show. Like, and you don't know what all snapped in that moment. And I think as a writing team, they could do whatever they wanted. And the audience would be very just intrigued to see where Cody goes and how if he would come back, or how does he come back, and all those things. So I'm excited, and whatever they do, they do. I'm so thankful for this show. I'm so thankful for the opportunity that I got. And if Cody lives and dies in season one, like, it was the best experience I've ever had, and I'm so grateful. And I will not be upset. I'll just be like, all right, well, thank you, and I'm sure another door will open for me to go continue what I love to do. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna find something to do. I'm gonna be happy. So I think that it was just how it was supposed to end for Cody, because I think consequences, like actions have consequences, and I think that Cody is realizing that he has no idea what he's doing. I think he really has no clue. So
And there's all those unresolved feelings that he has to work through with his dad and with his brother, and I'm sure other family members like his mother as well. I would hope to see you back if there's a second season. I think that
thank
there's so
you.
much more room to explore with the Bowman brothers, and they really built up their relationship with all the flashback scenes that they did include as well. I want to talk about the crew and creative team. How was your experience working with them? In particular, the marine advisors, Greg Cope White, your showrunners, and just their vision for the show.
Yes, yes. Okay. Greatest crew ever. Like, all around best. It's amazing. They're so incredible. Um, Showrunners, amazing. Andy and Rachel, like, they're both incredible. Like, Andy was always there for me from the beginning, and was very, very accepting and understanding of where I wanted to go with Cody. Like, when I showed up on day one, um, I treated Cody like he was the main character. I like had as much prep as I would if I was number one on the call sheet. And I had so much to show them from the beginning that they're like, okay, well, sick. Like, let's see what we can get with here, and like see where we can go with this. And they were so open to like all my prep. So that you can't ask for more. And then Peter Howard did our pilot episode, and he also was a big part of casting me for this. And he saw my Law and Order episode where, like, I beat up a guy, kill a guy, and he was like, and for some reason I felt bad for you. He was like, why am I feeling bad for you? And he was like, and that's what we wanted for Cody. We wanted this person where it's like, you shouldn't feel bad for him, but you do. And so that was sick, like, for him to just see that in me, and trust me. I think that's like a big part of this whole situation, is like there was so much trust from a writing standpoint, like even just the little things like, um Andrea, like, one of our writers, she wrote this scene where we were like doing the food fight, right? And I had other lines when I get hit with the food. There was other lines, and I was like, I went up to her, I said, hi. I was like, can I just say okay? And she goes, what? And I was like, I know we don't have a lot of takes here. Like, I know we don't get to do this a ton of times, and I know that like I'm gonna burn a take if I'm wrong. I was like, but can you trust me on this one? And she goes, sure, okay. I said, okay. And then I went in there, And it just played so well because it's like Cody just doesn't know what to say. He's just like, okay, all right, I've had a day. I have had a day. I haven't even seen my brother out there, like there's so many things. And it's just like, okay, all right, okay. Like he's just kind of like fighting so many things. And so, like, just that trust. I mean, I'm talking down to like the PAs, everyone. Like, I worked a PA job in Birmingham, Alabama, and my like the person above me was Kate, who was my PA on Boots. So like I got to work with her on the crew side, and it was really cool, and like to be like just in a different job with her, and to work alongside her. And it was just because I thought she was amazing. She was so sweet and always took care of us, and Miles and Sophia, and like we have so many people that I could just list, like that we truly became like best friends with the crew. Like the crew were so close, so there wasn't like a big disconnect. Like oftentimes there can be when you're just like locked in as an actor. You go and you do your job and you leave. Like no, like I literally talked cameras with our camera department for like ever. And they would like tell me what lenses to get and like, oh, like this is a sick shot. You should go down here. Like, watch if you take a picture from down this way, it's way better and stuff like that. And like our AC department, like can't like everybody I just became so close with. Miss Mary, she would like put my mark down and do the clapper and all that stuff and like take care of a lot of like the lenses and everything. And for people that don't know that kind of stuff, she was the sweetest, like always was like so kind to me. And our just everybody there, I could go on forever. It just felt like a family. It didn't feel like this crew and then the actors. It just felt like I went to work and I had these are my buddies and my friends. So writers were amazing, super um, accepting and understanding, and tried to work things in for us. Directors were great. Every single one of them loved working with them. Even if we like butted heads a little bit, or like we on like what Cody was, it was we were there was always an open conversation and a willingness to understand. So yeah, great, phenomenal, loved everybody. I actually have pictures of all the crew. Like I have like probably 2,000 photos I just took of crew, like not even the actors. They were actors aren't even in it. Like it's just of them, like with these like signs and holding a flag or whatever it may be, or and they're I don't know. They just felt like part of my family. So I mean, you take pictures of your family. So they were, I was taking pictures of Kieron and Angus and them, and also taking pictures of our crew side too. I love them.
It's so nice to have such a collaborative team effort where everyone just wants the best possible outcome for Boots and the final product. Tell me about the cast relationship. Like, how did you all bond together in New Orleans? And do you have a favorite memory from behind the scenes that you can share?
Oh gosh. Okay, I mean, there's tons of memories. I feel like favorite memory might be tough because there's just a ton. But like, it's the little things with the memories. Like, we took this one Polaroid picture, okay, and it like printed out. It's just like sort of shaking it. And then we all looked at it and we died laughing for days. Still laugh about it because our buddy Logan Gold, he's on Broadway right now. If you haven't seen Stranger Things on Broadway, go see my boy, like shout out. But he was there. He's the one that gets kicked out and everything like that. So it's like Mo Mason. He an incredible young man. Like he's one of my best friends now. Um, he was in this picture, and it is the worst picture I've ever seen of a human being in my life. He looks like a thumb from Spy Kids, and he will admit that. All right, so like it is such a bad picture. You see like me up here, it's not a very bad picture. Someone else here, and then you just see him, and he's like, it is the funniest thing, and we just laughed so hard about that one, and we just I don't know, we have so many memories from the show of just the tent. So they kept us all in this tent. I don't know if they wanted it to be like a brotherhood, and we were all just sweating together. But we're in this tent, and like those were the moments that I miss so bad. Where Liam's reading his book, Angus is playing his Switch, Miles is just being Miles, just like real relaxed. Oftentimes he was just sitting there like just chilling, hanging out, waiting to go, and like Dom drinking his protein shake. Blake is trading crypto. Kieran's writing poetry. Like you literally everybody had their things, and we're all just in there together, just going through it. I think I just really miss the little things because we laughed about it. I mean, we went putt putt. We went to putt putt together. We went to Top Golf. We movies. Go karting. Go to karting was hilarious. They called me Bowser because I just looked like this big old boy on this little tiny cart. And yeah, that was so fun. And yeah, the memories. There's too many memories to really like list, but there's the little things. I miss my moments with them.
Sometimes it's the best thing to just, you're not always talking with each other, but you can look over. It's like you know what someone else is doing in that moment. And it brings a lot of comfort and familiarity, especially during, all those months that you spent filming together. You mentioned taking photos. You took some incredible photos of
And
the cast, but also you mentioned the crew on set. I know you posted some, so did Dominic and Angus. So tell me about taking photos, photography, and what capturing moments means to you.
okay, so I love photography. I think like, well, especially in our day and age, everything's moving so fast, and to like take a moment and like have it forever is so cliche, but it's beautiful. And I think too, like just to be a little personal, like growing up, and even sometimes today, like I hate pictures of myself. Like growing up, I hated pictures. I was always a fat kid, and I just hated being in them. I would avoid cameras, like all the things. So when I take a picture of someone and they go, "Oh, holy crap, that's a great picture," and they like have a picture that they love of themselves, I think is such a moment for me where I'm like, yes, like yeah, like that's awesome. Like you get to like this, you get to like enjoy this moment and have something that you actually like about yourself. Because I think oftentimes we're our worst critic. We don't see ourselves the way other people do. The mirror lies. And I think you take a picture of someone and they're like especially the right lens and the right lighting, and it's like, no, you're beautiful, like like, no, you're amazing, like you look so good. And like to be able to have those moments with people is such a blessing that in some way, shape, or form, just reminded them how beautiful they are or how amazing they are is just an honor. Like, or like, like especially for a crew don't get a lot of like BTS pictures. Like, now our person on set that's like hired to take BTS, they're hired to take pictures of the actors for the most part. Like they're gonna take some of the other, of like crew stuff, but it's like really just like I was able to airdrop like individual shots of people, to them, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like thank you." Like people don't do this, like, and I'm like, "Absolutely. I got thousands of these. I'm going to try to get them to all of you." And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's where photography is for me now in my life. It's again just kind of like painting. It's like just nice for my friends. I like to like take pictures of my people and give it to them. So yeah, I take headshots for other actor friends of mine and different things like that. I enjoy it.
What's
And
your
then I got
go-to camera of
oh,
choice right
you're
now?
good. Fujifilm. If you guys want to send me anything, go ahead. You can send me anything you want. I should say Sony because they're our company, but no, I really love Fujifilm. Their like in camera stuff is really cool. Like the like filters and stuff you can shoot live with are really really cool. So yeah, no, Fujifilm for sure.
You are working on your own scripts as well. Did you always have a desire to do more work behind the camera and develop your own stories?
Absolutely. From a young age, there's no doubt. Like I don't think I'm dyslexic, so I don't think I'm the best writer, but I can put crap down and then I can give it to somebody else and be like, "Yeah, make some of this," right? This is really good. So I have these stories in my mind, and I have like there's a project called Thicker Than Blood that I'm like writing that I'm really really excited about for like one day that to come to pass, and like my team over at Zero Gravity are helping me with that as well. And no, I've always had that desire. I think there's something special to be able to write your friends into projects. Like, I have so many actor friends that are like so talented and better actors than me that are just like not getting their opportunity. Like it's just such a hard industry to like finally find your role that like people get to see you work in. So to think like, yo, I'm producing this movie and I wrote this character for you and it's gonna have this really cool scene and you're gonna crush and the world's gonna see how good you are is like So cool. Like I love it, and I think that's such a like an honor to be able to do. Like I'm one of the movies I'm producing, we start shooting in January. And it's the coolest thing ever. And I've gotten some of my friends in that. And it's gonna be a horror. Um just gonna keep your eye out for it. It's gonna be really good. But yeah, no, I love it. I think it goes back to the football side of things too. It's like so many people working together to make something happen. I think I just really love. And so on any side, like yesterday I blew up a house on set. Like I did special effects, for this movie here in Birmingham. And then today I'm gonna go after we're done, I'm gonna go like help clean up everything that we exploded. But like I don't know, anything and everything, I don't mind at what like anywhere in the crew. I also never want to feel like I'm above any job. Like I'm just blessed to work, whatever that may be.
That's an amazing mindset to have and be a part of like all the moving parts of a production as well as something that you can only learn and grow as an artist from, knowing all the jobs and what people do and the work that goes into each element. And with Thicker Than Blood, did you attach Blake to that project as well?
Oh, he's 100% gonna be in it. There's no doubt. That
It's a
guy's
military drama, so was it
yeah.
inspired by your time on Boots?
No, I've actually had that project for like 6 years in my head. Yeah, no, and I actually shared that one with Chicky, and he goes, "Never tell anybody that story ever again until you shoot it." It was one of those. So we're excited about it, but no, that one's gonna be good. It's unfortunately that one. It's a tough project as far as the actual content of the movie, but it is. There's some personal like my own life that we've put in there. Like it came from a story in my life. I'm disconnected. I don't want people to read the description and be like, "Oh my gosh." It was something happened in my life that sparked this like interest into that world and to be able to tell the stories and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, it's always good to have dreams, and I hope that you continue to like develop it and other projects as well that you're clearly working on, even in the producing side. I have one more question for you. It's our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Okay. I'm gonna go with Moose Tracks here. Okay. Moose Tracks. It's got a lot in there, a lot of different flavors, a lot of different textures, just got a lot going for it. But then also it's literally like every single person that I know, like in my family and like my close friend, it's their favorite ice cream. So it's like I mean, must be pretty good. So I want to, let me roll with that one. I don't really know. But that's my best answer is Moose Tracks. It's phenomenal. If you haven't tried Moose Tracks, shout out to Moose Tracks. It's great.
It must be an American thing because I don't think I've heard of
What?
it.
I need to send you some
I'm
Moose
sure they
Tracks.
must have it somewhere. I'll have to look into that flavor
Yeah,
next
do it,
time.
do it. It's so good. It's got like caramel and little like Reese pieces, bits in it, and like all these things. It's really good. So,
It sounds very sweet. That sounds great. I'll have to check it out. But
please do.
Brandon, it's been so nice to chat with you about the show and what you've been working on. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Of course, so hopefully we can catch up in the future. But until
Yes.
then, for all those watching, make sure to catch Brandon as Cody Bowman in Boots. Season 1 is out now on Netflix, and we will see you next time.
All right, bye.